And we are live. My name is Ration Outlaw. I am your host of RNN Live. Sorry for the late start. So today's stream is probably just going to be relatively short for those who are going to be watching. Now,
Scratch that with relatively short. It is going to be short. I mean, I don't really see the stream going beyond half an hour.
anyways, why don't we get our guests to introduce themselves, starting from the bottom?
Hello, my name is Savage TV and stuff. I describe myself as being somewhat socially conservative, but also economically libertarian. So I disagree with a lot of other social conservatives when it comes to the nature of capitalism. I am pretty pro capitalist in that sense.
Z?
I am just the usual hostage here, currently debating if I'm going to delete a game, and just here to hopefully bring some laughs. Because if we wind up talking about the Banana Republic, I have no clue what it's about.
Anyways, why don't we start with the Banana Republic while we look at some stuff? Did you want to start, Savage?
Oh, sure, I can start. So, the reason why I kind of want to talk about this topic is that there seems to be a very kind of, misconception going on, especially among people who believe in more, Keynesian economics in terms of their models with like the state-run economies. And they seem to think that if we were to fully deregulate the economy, embrace a more free market system, we would devolve into banana republic. And if you kind of search the term on Google for like the definition, that kind of just doesn't seem to sound like something that you would get in in a more capitalist system. It seems more like a status problem, but I
Mm-hmm.
guess when statists want to control discourse on all economic policies, they have to use all these bad comparisons to kind of denounce capitalist systems.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at what we define as a banana republic, being say a Central American country that relies on basically one export and foreign money, they aren't very good economically in terms of freedom and stuff. Like a lot of these countries are actually somewhat authoritarian or have very bad corruption or economic policies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the United States, ended up somewhat similar to Banana Republic had we not embraced more economically free policies early in our
Mm-hmm.
history. Because it seems like a lot of, European colonies, tend to go the way of Banana Republics over the years and stuff, whereas we're kind of one of the rare lucky ones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you, what would you think, Rational?
No, I would agree with you on there. I mean, as just like Val, I don't know much about banana republics. All I remember was something about there was a banana company that had a lot of power in some of the Central American countries, and that's something to do with that they tried to throw out the more socialist regimes of those countries because I remember that they were getting threatened by the socialist regimes in those countries that were coming up, and that they toppled it and then formed a uh, sort of puppet states. There, and they had
Yeah,
a more fascist regime, helped the fascist regime gain control.
yeah, that sounds like like a pretty cronyist system, which tends to be like pretty anti-capitalist because
Mm-hmm.
they hate competition in those cronyist systems, so they want kind of an entire monopoly on everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it was like if if we were to go off of that, like I believe I don't remember what video I watched where it was talking about Banana Republic specifically. That's the term. That's the one I had heard before. Those the countries were planning to go socialist through their democratic means, through their voting systems, but then with the banana republics got in and tried to overthrow those with supporting more the fascist regimes, which both weren't like capitalist by any means. It's just one was not wanting, the socialist was just wanting to take away any of the properties that the company had and just the state would own it, and the other was just the fascist regime, which is basically you're allowed to keep your monopoly. Just let us control everything else.
Yeah, it's basically it's basically cronyism versus socialism and stuff, where it's like, both lead to some pretty bad places, but I guess on paper a cronyist system probably could sustain itself longer than a social system, but they're
Yes.
not very good models though.
Well,
Like
yes.
I would say,
Yeah.
oh, I would say
Go
like the United States is kind of going very closely towards a more cronyist system, even though people like claim to be socialists and stuff. That's not really where we're headed
on.
yet, at least.
I would say the U.S. federal government is still pretty a good ways away. I would say certain states are in the cronyist system, cronyist slash welfare system, like
Oh,
California.
really? You think
Yes.
so you don't think with all the lobby groups and all of the the regulations and laws
No, no,
that
no.
favor.
There are those things. Yes, do affect. However, if we look at it, federal laws aren't nearly as uh, strict as certain state laws. Like just
Oh,
take
okay.
California, for example, one of the most economically unfree states. That I would say is more of a more cronyist slash welfare state than.
That's very interesting because it seems like a lot of people on the more libertarian side seem to think that the United States government is already like really far into cronyist regulations. Like take for example banking. Like it's real hard to start your own bank nowadays,
Oh
which
yeah, I don't
kind
deny
of
there are
sucks.
certain. I yes.
Oh, because this kind of sucks because like if we, like say if libertarians or conservatives started their own banks, then you can bankroll your own infrastructure, so you could like work your way around all these different monopolies and stuff.
Well, I wouldn't deny that there are certain industries that are heavily regulated that you could say are cronyist, like the banking industry, and I would also say the healthcare industry. But besides those two, there's not much cronyism. Those would be the two major ones I would say, federally speaking, that are probably the most regulated industries federally. Federally.
Yeah, it's just kind of too bad that those two industries are really, really important to creating alternative means
Mm-hmm.
of sustaining creating your own economy or sustaining your life and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's but other than those two industries, the U.S. is fairly free. It's obviously still got regulations here and there and yada yada, but for the most part, is a relatively free economy, federally speaking. But if we go like
Yeah.
in like local and state level, that totally changes. As I was
Yeah,
saying,
aren't we number 13 or 15 when it comes to global economic freedom?
it depends on which ones you look at. If you look at more the Heritage Foundation, they say we're like 13th or 14th. If you look at the Cato Institute, which is a more libertarian organization, they say we're probably around 6th or 7th.
Oh, really? Okay.
It depends. It depends on how you measure certain things. The Cato Institute measures differently than that of the Heritage Foundation. It depends on how
Oh,
you
what
measure stuff.
do they do they mix up personal freedom with economic freedom though? Because I
No,
know there's kind
they
of
leave that out.
okay. Yeah, because I know like Singapore is the most economically free nation, but in terms of personal freedom, I think it's number 23 or something
Hmm.
around that.
Hmm. Yeah, as far as federally speaking, regulations, the United States is relatively quite free, and it's one of the most free, economically speaking, federal on the federal level, economically very free. Just in those two areas, banking and healthcare, those are the most regulated, I believe, federally speaking. Now, as I was saying, in certain states, that changes everything. In California, it is very extraordinarily regulated. It's much farther, would be if it was its own country, much farther down the line of economic freedom
Oh
compared
yeah, I
to.
like to troll. I like to troll California to say that they have like the third, like I think the most, like they have the biggest economy in the United States, and that they're, if they were their own country they would be like number 6 in GDP or something like that. I
Mm-hmm.
troll them saying that technically, given your debt and stuff, if you were to break off from the United States, you would flatline almost immediately from your own crippling debt.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, did you have a video for us, Z? Or is
I
that for
have
later?
one,
Yes?
but that is for later. It's not in
Okay.
political.
Well, anyways, we can go through a few short videos. I can bring up something here. We can talk about the Capitol cops, the criticisms, videos that are criticizing the criticisms. And let's see. We got one from the amazing Lucas for about Republicans tell people do not comply. I'm assuming that has to do with the mask mandates and everything. Is there anything that seems interesting that you want to cover?
None, they all seem too long. Except maybe many immigrants actually vote for Republicans. I mean, that one is 2 minutes.
Which one? Oh,
The
this
one
one?
above with the.
Okay, yeah, we can look at this. What do you think, Savage?
Yeah, I guess we can do that.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I have the sound on. Can you
That looks
hear?
like no.
Hold on, it's still loading. You know, I'm gonna restart the screen share. There we go. All right.
All right, let's speak
Can you hear?
next to. Let's just go
Yeah, I
across
can
the
hear it.
pond to Connor from Dublin. Connor, you're on the air.
Hi, David. I have
Hi.
one question and
Please.
one question only. This is about secret Trump supporters.
Mm.
So, obviously, so we know lots of Irish immigrants who live in Pennsylvania, and the Irish community is a very liberal, a very democratic one.
Sure.
Yet they secretly voted for Trump,
Really?
and it's quite strange. Their idea is that they moved to America with nothing, and they've worked and they have a lot of money now, and they just want to hold on to the money. They don't care about policy. They don't care about any issues. They just want to keep their money.
Yeah.
So how do we reach these people?
I don't know that we reach them in any particularly different way than we reach anybody, but what you're pointing to is very important. And we took a call from a Chinese Canadian caller a couple of weeks ago who pointed out a lot of Chinese immigrants who would be sort of like my parents' age, I guess you would say, are far more conservative than many would assume. And this gets back to Republicans love to say that the strategy of Democrats on immigration is let as many people in, naturalize as many people as possible, so that then they'll vote for you in future elections. I've pointed out that doesn't make sense because it's a really slow process, and if the U.S. only naturalizes 800,000 people a year, and only some of them vote, and only some of them vote for Democrats, it's like a really dumb thing to do. But what's missing from it is there are way more immigrants than people think who actually vote for Republicans. There's a whole bunch. Russian immigrants frequently vote for Republicans. Venezuelan and Cuban.
No, the
I'd say
problem.
pause. So the problem, see, here's the thing is like, you're referring to European immigrant, like Eastern European immigrants are, well, I would say immigrants as a whole are technically conservative from a social standpoint. The thing is that it is beneficial to them in the moment because, we're talking about their own, what they view as their own personal, what necessity, like what your personal self-interest and stuff, is that they vote Democrat because they think that it helps them and stuff through welfare and their social programs. So yeah, they're socially conservative, but kind of like with African Americans, because African Americans are kind of similar, is that while they're more socially conservative from an economic standpoint, they still want all of the benefits that comes from a more democratically run system compared to a Republican one.
Mm-hmm.
So like no one's I think no one's really denying that immigrants are more more conservative and stuff. It's just that they want all the economic policies that are you find in a more leftist government, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
So like I always feel like that's one reason I tell people is like just because you're socially something doesn't necessarily mean that you're economically for that same thing, if that makes any sense. And then not to mention culturally, like European conservatives are very different from American conservatives, you know, in how they want to enact policy. So people also need to take that into account, that conservatism is different in different parts of the world compared to here in the United States.
Okay, I'd like to inform our audience and everyone over here, Afghanistan doesn't exist as of now.
I beg your
Oh,
pardon.
it doesn't?
The city of Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan, has collapsed and the president has fled the country. The Taliban has complete majority of Afghanistan, and officially Afghanistan ceases to exist.
That is absolute. That is that is great sarcasm and stuff. It's like wow.
It's not sarcasm. It literally just ended. The country
Oh
no
no, I'm
longer
saying
exists.
no. I was saying oh great. You know, I was saying that I was being sarcastic when I said oh goody. Because you know, basically, this is like it. Like basically, it means that the Biden/Obama administration has basically, you know, completely ruined the region and stuff.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious. Another thing has turned out to be an extra form of ironic.
What?
As some of y'all have noticed, there's the famous image going around right now of the U.S. helicopter that's taking people from the U.S. embassy to evacuate.
Yeah.
CH-46 N38TU. That's the name of the helicopter. Yeah. Well, people were able to track down this helicopter, and in fact, we have a picture of it.
Being shot down.
No, of it on the deck of the USS Hancock. Long story short, it was one of the few helicopters to take part of the evacuation of Saigon when the US abandoned Vietnam.
Oh.
Evacuated Saigon and now evacuated Kabul.
Well, so basically, yeah. I mean, yeah. So essentially, what's going to happen is that everything's going to we're probably going to see kind of similar, like at the very least, you know. I mean, at least, you know, hoping it can still be stable. We'll probably see something similar to like with Iran, where they went from being more modern to basically being extremely Islamically conservative, or at worst, they end up like Somalia, where it becomes like a lawless country and stuff. Full of like, you know, mass purges and stuff.
Let's see what our comments are over here. A bit obvious, but I think the most significant factor with regards to whether an immigrant is conservative/liberal is the reason for immigration, a job or welfare. Second half, supporting policies which increase the amount of welfare will increase the amount of immigrants who come for welfare by quite a large margin. Yeah, that always happens.
That is actually, yeah, that is pretty true because they they did a survey when it came to a lot of European migrants, and that they found that a good majority of them basically were coming for the welfare system, and the vast majority of them weren't refugees, contrary to what the mainstream narrative is. And like TFM brought this up, you know, back when he was still on YouTube, is that when they cut social programs, a lot of Mexican immigrants did actually deport themselves. So it is very.
I don't think you call it deporting yourself when you flee a country.
Well, I mean, they left the United States. Like when they basically cut social systems and stuff in the United States, they left the country back to Mexico. So like if we were to completely cut welfare as a system in the United States, then I'm pretty sure a whole chunk of immigrants would actually leave the country and probably either go to Canada or some other country that offered a more, you know, a welfare system. Because we kind of are in an era where a lot of people are coming here for the social benefits. They're not really just coming here to like be free and stuff. A lot of times they want like, you know, all the benefits of a welfare system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, have you ever noticed that in like entertainment that you actually never see an EBT card or food stamps ever show up in movies and entertainment? Because I've seen a ton of movies, and I've never once seen them show up. It's really weird. I mean,
It
have
could
you guys?
also be that Hollywood isn't dumb enough to make a film about welfare.
I know it's just kind of funny that even in there's even in stuff that doesn't involve politics and stuff, like it never shows up. You see other stuff show up about poverty and stuff, but you never see someone with food stamps. It's kind of really interesting.
I think there also could be some legal reason as to why.
Well, it can't be with the government because
I mean, it's the same thing as to why you cannot feature actual money in movies.
Well, you can't because we see
Yeah,
dollar
every
bills.
time that there's a scene where there's like a shit ton of cash involved, it's all fake money, which is noticeably fake, not just like this looks like a US dollar or it's direct copy. It's always like something that just vaguely has the shape of whatever currency it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I would say that's interesting because it seems like they don't even make a fake version of food stamps and stuff. It just doesn't show up in Hollywood.
Another similar case was what happened in the Syrian civil war a few years ago where a lot got much further from Syria to countries which offer more Yeah, but that's also the issue. Like in Europe, we didn't actually get that many Syrian refugees. We got a shit ton of people who said they were Syrian refugees who conveniently lost all of their, passports and IDs, but then turned out to come from countries like Afghanistan, Iraq, Morocco.
Africa.
Because the mass migrate.
Africa is not a country.
I know. I'm saying Africa in a general sense.
Yeah,
but we're specifically listing countries over here.
I don't know many African countries. Okay.
Well, the fact that
Uganda, Kenya, Somalia, Morocco that I already listed.
Well, the thing is that when you have a mass open door immigration policy and stuff, you have a harder time vetting people, and not to mention people when they claim refugee status, and there is an agenda behind all that. Like the fact of the matter is, they even what was it? Someone in the media came out and admitted that one of the reasons behind say in America, a lot of mass immigration from Central and South American countries is because they want to keep wages down and they want cheaper labor and stuff. That's kind of what the whole purpose is. In Europe, that was kind of a similar thing. But what's funny is that at least in Europe's case, some of these countries, some of the immigrants came to those countries and they actually did not get a job. They just been sitting on welfare without working and stuff.
Over 92% of people who have come since 2015 as a refugee doesn't work at all. And also receives a higher rate in welfare than Germans on welfare.
Yeah, so that's really that's gonna really collapse the economy, especially when the fact of the matter is when older generations of these native born citizens begin to retire or die off and stuff, you're going to see an economic potential collapse and stuff, which they will have to really overhaul the system and stuff. Otherwise, that would be a disaster on the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, we have a new comment here.
What is it? Also super late.
Oh, hold on. This one first.
I think I wouldn't use real money in movie scenes just because I won't trust people not to steal it. Don't worry, people steal the fake money as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a whole thing about there's something which basically you cannot use real money for scenes or even realistic copies because first off, that is forgery. So that's where it would be illegal. But simultaneously, it's also just I can't remember the exact reason, but I know we also have a similar thing in Europe or multiple European countries have a similar thing where you cannot use the currency or official government documents in films and so on. You have to make copies which look fake if you compare it to the real thing. Aside from that, I think the only thing that doesn't change is stuff, agency names like the CIA, NSA, IRS. All those things can remain the same in the film. I think it's just more the official stuff cannot be. Anyway, so speaking of which, Z, have you experienced tax highs since the beginning of the crisis? Well, let's see. When I came to Germany, the VAT tax was 4%. Now it's 19%. In 2 years. Well, 3 years at this point.
Anyways, now I think that's all for the topic. Is there anything else you wanted to go over?
So like we could talk about the possibilities of more COVID-19 restrictions or like lockdowns.
Well, Europe were, from what was leaked from the German government, ironically through a newspaper which I don't like anymore, or never really liked because they're mainstream news, and noticeably so. That's where I will end it. So in Germany, they are planning to make a new, very restrictive lockdown, but only for people who are unvaccinated. And right now, if I'm not mistaken, in the US, the federal government is looking into ways to force states to mandate the vaccine.
Yeah, the one problem with that is that now with this Delta variant, people are getting sick who have been vaccinated. So that's
you're talking about the Delta variant.
Well, it's
Haven't you
just
heard
that
of the Lambda variant?
Sorry, what?
There's another variant now in the United States, the Lambda. So lamb as in LAMB and then Lambda. It's one word. Don't ask. It's a new variant that apparently sprouted in California.
Okay, well, a lot of stuff comes from California, but like, yeah, because some people were talking about whether or not the vaccine might have helped cause these new variants to show up, because when you when you take a vaccine, it makes you tries to help you become immune to the virus, and the virus then tries to evolve to work our way around that. So it's kind of like the variants might be caused by these vaccines.
That's one way of looking at it. There's also another way as to looking into it.
What's that?
That is just bullshit.
Yeah, I've heard about that too. Some people.
You got to remember. So first there was only supposed to be COVID. Then there was COVID, the Indian strain. Then there was COVID, the British strain, which somehow spread despite these massive lockdowns and no travels. And now we have the Delta, and even while the Delta is supposedly spreading, then there's the Lambda.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've heard from people saying that we technically don't really have an actually accurate test to test for the Delta variant. So people are kind of wondering where these numbers are even coming from. So I'm not sure.
I mean, Elon Musk put it best a long time ago, where he openly showed the results of 4 different tests, or 4 different results from the same test, and it was 2 came back positive, 2 came back negative.
Yep. Yeah, there are some cases. Well, I don't know. I haven't specifically researched into this, but what isn't there something I've heard of where that there's some cases of where that a person could test positive for coronavirus even though they did not get any major symptoms that would even lead off to that, or never even experience it at all around the time of their testing?
Yeah, they call it being asymptomatic, because apparently you can be a carrier, but you're not showing any symptoms, if that makes any sense.
Permanently, asymptomatic, because obviously there is like a sleeper period of where that 2 weeks before you actually showing the symptoms, you end up having contracted the disease, but you are asymptomatic, but you will eventually experience symptoms. But examples I was thinking was you don't get the symptoms at all, not even in the 2 weeks.
Oh no, that's asymptomatic. So they basically said that you can carry the virus, but you won't get sick at all. So it's kind of like, how a person can carry cancer. It's like, I guess the argument is kind of similar to a person can carry cancer.
I know this direct thing because I do follow a geneticist on YouTube. But anyways, no, the whole thing is that some people do carry a genetic trait which allows them to become carriers for most forms of flus. For example, I suspect that I have it because I've never had the flu. And if I had COVID in the past time, then it wasn't something bad, because if you have this genetic thing, it just makes you a carrier, and at most you just suffer very, very light symptoms, and by the end, COVID is still just a virus and a
Okay.
form of flu. So
Well, that's
it
interesting because
isn't
like
far-fetched. This is just basically a blanket thing because it's dependent on the structure of the virus / flu.
well,
It
I'm
just
going
goes
off.
to
Well, I'm
show
Oh.
even more of how ambiguous and vague this disease is. At least with the Spanish flu, whenever people contracted it, they were obviously showing the symptoms like within a 24 to 48-hour period.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm going off of like that's kind of the mainstream narrative. Like, like that's the whole thing with this whole asymptomatic thing was like them trying to tell people that even if you don't feel sick, you could still be carrying it, even if you don't get sick at all. Like that's kind of this narrative going around, which I know sounds ridiculous, but that's, that's how they
That's
get
kind of the
is.
issue because that's the result of the media lying so much times that when they actually speak something that is true, like this whole thing with asymptomatic, because for example, the YouTuber in question, if you want to check him out, he's Raw No Gaming. Some of y'all may have already seen some of his videos, but anyways, he does mention of how even just in general, when it's like flu season, he has to avoid certain family members because he can spread the flu without even knowing that he has it. Like this is a real thing. People do carry genes that allow them to basically not have the symptoms but spread a flu at the same time.
You're talking about the actual milk toast seasonal flu?
Yeah.
No, just in general. But the seasonal flu, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because well, yeah, it's like people are like all going all crazy about COVID-19. I'm like, since I was a kid, I kind of read up on some of the diseases that you run into Africa, like malaria and stuff, and that shit is so deadly and stuff that it's like, yeah, we're pretty lucky to not have diseases like they have in Africa, and they don't shut down their countries and economies for malaria and all these other diseases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you
Well,
guys
to be
ever?
fair, malaria doesn't exactly spread between human and human.
Well, no, but it's mosquitoes, and mosquitoes are everywhere. It's just as bad.
To be fair, to kind of argue devil's advocate, I think their reasoning as to why that they would say, "Oh, we need to shut down the economy for COVID and not for malaria," is because of the fact that there's nothing that the government can really do to restrict mosquitoes. Whereas with these lockdowns, they feel like they can control humans with those.
I mean, in African countries, they have put in a strong effort to reduce malaria because there are methods that can be taken. But as mentioned, mosquitoes are mosquitoes.
I'm just going off of
modified
deadliness,
mosquitoes.
though. I'm just going off of deadly.
Like doing what, Rash?
Oh, genetically modified mosquitoes. Mosquitoes resistant to malaria.
Yeah, I mean,
what is the essentialism for mosquitoes existing, anyways? Because at least I can
Fish
understand
and bats.
fish and bats.
Fish,
them.
bats,
yeah,
spiders.
No. I mean, what is the need for mosquitoes to exist, anyways?
Fish and bats.
well, they eat them and stuff. Well, fish and bats eat them, and I would say like the thing about mosquitoes is also like you could say mosquitoes keep us down. Like I'd say mosquitoes, if they spread diseases and kill other animals, then they keep us.
I understand that fish and bats that they keep down the mosquito population with their existence.
No.
I mean,
I think that's the reason why that they're needed is probably I would say
They are the starting portion of most ecosystems in the general region. It's the same purpose with anchovies. Anchovies don't really serve much of a purpose, but they are the starting food source for the food chain in most of the ocean ecosystems where anchovies exist.
Animals.
And they kill and annoy us. So like a lot of people don't want to live in places with a huge ton of mosquitoes all the time. So they protect the environment from humans.
Yeah, fair enough. Because I hate.
Mosquitoes. When it comes to kill rates, like mosquitoes are technically humans' worst predator because they kill us the most out of any animal on the planet.
Still thinks so. So in other words, some people just have a superior immune system.
But yes and no.
Yeah.
The genetic trait of what I was mentioning is just something that basically, how would I explain it? Just basically the virus cannot fully connect to the human body in that scenario.
Oh,
A bit
passive
late
induced.
showing that comment, but anyways.
By the way, I just want to say very quickly, when I first started tuning in this live stream, I saw 0 likes. I just would like to prompt everybody who is watching right now, please hit that like button for the sake of Rational Outlaw's YouTube channel. It helps in the algorithm of boosting his live streams.
Unless they change the algorithm, because they've now released 2 bots on YouTube that are doing a fantastic job.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes get rid of bats by eating. Bats get rid of humans with COVID, and humans get rid of mosquitoes by swatting them. It's like rock, paper, scissors. Overly simplified.
You guys ever? I mean, you guys mentioning about Africa doesn't shut down their economies over malaria. Did you guys ever read up of how that the COVID lockdowns in third world countries have like reversed 20 years of poverty reduction that had been done in the last 20 years?
So what do you mean?
It had reversed. In other words, capitalism, or I guess free-ish markets in the third world countries that everybody has been like taking advantage of, so as to boost their own standards in life. They have been doing pretty good over the last 20 years. Places like India and Indonesia, places like that. Mm-hmm. But because of the lockdowns that each of their appropriate governments have been implemented or had implemented last year, it immediately 20 years worth of poverty reduction went away. So because there were people working, all the people who were like lesser off, not as well off, they did not have a family member who was making some survival income and more to give to their more needier family members. The more needier family members could not go to the more well-off family members, and so therefore, you got people who are either starving or even dying just because of the income reduction of everybody, thus translating to a reduction in the progress, or a reversal of the poverty reduction that had been done.
Yeah, it's like, well, that makes sense. I mean, like, especially like, I don't really hear much about it because, the United States probably doesn't want to talk about it, but like, I wonder how Europeans are doing with these lockdowns, because they have more like, social programs than the US does. And if people aren't working because they're locked down, that must be bad for your economy. Like, you guys must be.
If anybody goes wondering about the citation, it's from The Economist, not some far right website. But go on. I was saying that to the viewing audience. If anybody wants to pull a citation needed with me, but sorry, go on, you guys.
Yeah, I mean, like, not to mention, well, if you look at Asia and stuff, like, they produce a ton of like diseases in general. Like the Black Plague came from China originally, and that's way more deadly than COVID. Like, that killed 60 million people in Europe and stuff.
Well, to be fair, they didn't have modern medicine, were pretty filthy, and also had poor nutrition at the time because of overpopulation.
Yeah, but when you compare the symptoms, bubonic plague or black plague is described as being way worse than anything COVID can do. Like, you get all those buboes on your body, then you cough up blood and stuff. It's like, it's a really painful way to die and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even nobles died from like bubonic plague as well and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just like, modern medicine is pretty helpful and stuff. Like the average American lives a more luxurious life than a good chunk of medieval nobility back in the day.
Well, the average American lives a better life today than people did 100 years ago.
Yeah, I just use nobility as an example because a lot of people talk about like how privileged nobles were back in medieval times, when it's like, compared to what we have today, they would be envious of us,
Mm-hmm.
Like, imagine being able to get on a device to get all the information that you can from the world, whereas they have to like read scrolls constantly to get info.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's why I've like argued against the whole idea of where certain people will say that capitalism has just made everything worse, that the people are more have less today than they did like in the 50s or 60s, and it's like because of capitalism, and like no, because we actually have more today than we did like in the 50s or 60s, and the reasons why things are more expensive is not because of capitalism but because of regulation.
Inflation, which is
Yeah.
caused to borrowing money and stuff. But like, yeah, I mean, well, if you ask most of those people that talk about that, like what they want is basically Star Trek, which, you know, I like Star Trek, but it kind of makes me cringe sometimes
It is
that a lot of
way
people
too
look at that as a model.
idealistic.
Well, it's not just idealistic, it's just its economic system is nonsensical. Like, it's kind of like, even in one of the movies, they say that we have no use of money anymore. Like, we've moved beyond that. We just explore for knowledge and stuff.
Yeah, they just explore for knowledge, and they essentially believe that human virtue will just simple human virtue and reputation are the things that will make people want to actually get off their lazy butts and do stuff.
Yeah, it's basically
outside of
progressive
that-
atheism. It's basically
Yeah.
progressive atheism, and then like what else? Oh yeah, they strawman capitalism by giving us the Ferengi and stuff.
Yeah. You know, at first, like, when I was like, when me and the rest of my family would be watching Star Trek, like the first few years that we were watching them, for some reason, my dad thought that they were like a parody of the Jews at first. Like, he was almost thinking that Star Trek was, I don't know, criticizing Jews. But on second look, yeah, it's just capitalists in general, not necessarily any one ethnic group of capitalist type people, but yeah,
Yeah.
completely strawman capitalists indeed, because of the fact that they go charging usage of even elevators and seats for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Gene Roddenberry, like, yeah, he was kind of clearly into more, like you'd say, progressive economics, because, like, a lot of people use the original series saying he wasn't really that much of a socialist, but it's like if you watch the first few seasons of Next Generation, where he has, like, complete control, you know, there's no producers to stop him and stuff, it gets really cringy in some of those early Next Generation episodes, because in the original series, the producers kind of told him what he had to do and stuff, so they kind of kept him in line.
But in TNG, he was able to push his left-wing dogma even more.
Yeah, no, there's like that episode where he questions religion, where like he basically makes religion seem like it's completely false.
Anyways, onto what Roy said, I am somewhat unsure of what I'd rather have in the long term, the internet or air conditioning. Initially, I'd think it'd be a no-brainer and I'd take the internet, but without AC, I'd suffer a lot.
Okay, here's an answer to that. Simple. Just move to Alaska and you don't need your AC anymore. You still get your internet, but you don't need AC, so just move to a colder environment.
Then you'll need air conditioning. Not air conditioning, heater.
But that wasn't the question,
again, you
though.
could just use firewood and I guess warm clothes.
Yeah. You could also move to the
is-
ocean where there's like constant breeze.
What were you saying, Z?
Just reading Steelfang's comment, the one thing I like about Star Trek is that it showed if you put your differences aside and work together, you can achieve great things.
Yep.
Yeah, my one problem with I guess my one problem with Star Trek is that like it either relies heavily on the idea that we evolved to become that way, or it just kind of denies the kind of evolutionary psychology hypothesis that human beings are kind of genetically predisposed to like fit into groups.
Yeah, you look at Star Trek, of where that everybody will just naturally and voluntarily, for that matter, collectivize. Whereas then you look in, say, Dune and the Duneverse, for example, everybody is so tribalistic with their own ideologies.
I will say that Star Trek did kind of, I guess, write their way out of that dilemma, because there are some planets where apparently people who didn't want to be all kumbaya got to get their own planets, to have their own culture. Yeah.
Exactly, like Star Trek Deep Space Nine, they had the Maquis who were getting pissed off of how that Federation was like preventing them from defending themselves from the Cardassians because they wanted to eventually get the Cardassians.
Cardassians. That sounds like Kardashians.
Yeah, but that's literally what they're called, the Cardassians. The Federation eventually wanted to get both the Cardassians and the
Keeping
Bajorans
up with
as
the Cardassians.
I feel like
they wanted to get them both as part of the Federation, and so that's why they wanted to prevent the Maquis from being so defensive, because it would piss the Cardassians off so much to where that they just be all like, "Oh, fuck you and your interplanetary organization, government, whatever. We're not joining anymore because you cannot keep your colonies in line."
See, here's the thing about sci-fi. Like, a lot of people, they like to do sci-fi like that stuff, like with Star Trek. But in me and stuff, I want something more like Warhammer 40K. Like, that's the cynical, dark future where it's like human beings are like, hey, we get super technology. We're conquering the galaxy and stuff and exterminating alien life and stuff.
Anyways, let's not go into a whole tangent of Warhammer because this is supposed to be politics. And whilst I get your 2 points, but the main thing I would have to disagree with you all on Star Trek is that, first off, it is a fictional society where basically the original creator summarizes to how this society started was when the replicator was invented and just put the entire economy of Earth into shambles, because now you could just, replicate stuff with nothing, from nothing, more precisely.
I would say, like, basically the thing with the replicator, I would say in the real life equivalent would be like making fake money and stuff, and that it would basically be worthless, whereas people would hold value of like legitimate, like take a baseball card. Like, a fake Babe Ruth card is not going to be worth nearly as much as someone finding an actual, real, genuine Babe Ruth card and stuff. So it would basically be similar to that if you tried making a replicator. They would just let people know that this is fake. This is like a fake thing. It's not the real thing. So it would not have as much value.
By the way, so I guess to help speed along the conversation here a bit, have you guys, or is on the docket for today, about what am I trying to say? On the docket for today, are we going to be talking about Afghanistan at all?
We already talked about it, as I brought up live on air, that Afghanistan doesn't exist anymore, so you're a bit late.
Yes, apparently the capital C has fallen, so in the Taliban control it. So
yeah, it has fallen like I don't know.
Thanks, Biden.
Afghanistan essentially no longer exists.
Unless they choose to make it exist again. Unless the Taliban wants it to exist, basically.
Yeah, it collapsed half an hour ago. Actually, no, they plan to completely change the country.
They'll just call it
a new name. So
they'll just call it Talibanistan. Either that or Pakistan will go in and try to conquer it or something.
Or
they plan to call it the United Emirates or something. I forgot what was the last portion.
So like the United Emirates of Arabia, you're saying?
Name-wise similar, everything else not really. Anyways, let's just go on to some funny videos that we have, and probably end the stream, because I don't think we want to continue on Star Trek for another God knows how long. That was.
Come on, we're having a good time, Z.
What is your prejudice against nerds, Z?
Yeah, what's wrong, Z?
First off, I'm a fucking nerd.
Yeah,
Secondly,
you're being a stick in
my
the mud.
interest is in Star Trek or Star Wars.
Okay.
My interest is with writing, which unfortunately neither franchise has. What?
Are you more of a 40K guy?
No, I never got into 40K because 40K didn't exist in India.
All right, so...
Oh, you're Indian.
No. I grew up in India. I'm not Indian.
Okay.
You can obviously tell that by my fucking voice as the first indicator.
Oh,
I don't know. You could be
German
Indian with a German accent.
You sound German.
But one last question, and then we can go on. Very quickly, what is your number one favorite sci-fi franchise, Z?
Honestly, I don't really have any favorite sci-fi franchise, because for me, most of the modern iterations are just crap. If I would have to say if I have to say the one that I find the most appealing, for me, it would be Fallout or some form of of retro sci-fi post-apocalypse.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wasn't restricting the question. I wasn't restricting the question to you to just modern day mainstream stuff like Star Trek and Star Wars. I was mean like in the broad sense of things. Like it could be Warhammer 40K, it could be Battlestar Galactica, it could be Dune, it could be Starship Troopers. Particularly
Okay,
Heinlein's
so
iteration.
in terms of official, Steelfang says, Z, let's talk about tanks. No, this stream will turn to days in length.
I just want to say that Star Trek doesn't have tanks, so therefore it objectively sucks.
Almost no one has fucking tanks in sci-fi, and it pisses me off, even though it makes the most sense.
Hey, Space Above and Beyond. It's a series that only lasted for 2 seasons. It's not very well heard of, but Space Above and Beyond. Look up that name. They do have an episode of where that they feature tanks.
Well, Halo has tanks.
Star Fox has tanks. You know, the game series.
Ooh,
Yeah,
really?
I get that all of those have tanks, but
Star
there's
Wars
a great.
has tanks. Or they don't have tanks; they have mechs. But whatever.
No. I was going to actually share the only or one of the few Star Wars tanks that there are, because there are the tanks of what was it? The
Droid
Confederacy.
Army. Yeah.
Of the droid army. They did have tanks, which don't look bad, except they wouldn't function if they were a real thing. Because that's kind of the thing. There's a YouTube channel which has a couple of short videos where fixing sci-fi vehicles. Because basically every sci-fi vehicle, especially tanks, will not work on a fundamental level. Because such as, like, let's take the droid tanks. The commander is also the gunner. And in Star Wars, the Clone Wars series, you always have a droid commander, standing out of the tank and someone else is operating the turret, even though by design that's completely impossible. It's like an early T-34 where the commander is both the gunner.
Yeah, the
And then-
AATs are very back heavy, I'm just going to say.
And then the other Star Wars tanks, I absolutely despise them. Like the clone tanks is, for me, a fucking embarrassment, because for some weird reason, it is impossible or borderline impossible to find tanks that have functional turrets. And the Star Wars tank is... the clone tank is one of the worst offenders because it doesn't have a turret in its overall shape. I'm sending a link to it. Outlaw wants to potentially share it. It's his own choice.
I think we can all agree that one of the best sci-fis, it's part sci-fi, part supernatural, is Ghostbusters. Can we all agree?
Yes.
Because it's like one of the few libertarian Hollywood films that are iconic and stuff.
And
Which
then
movie?
Ghostbusters.
The original ones.
Yeah, because all the like the human villains are government officials and stuff.
I'm just trying to find. Oh yeah, and then this is the only tank which Disney has. If I am allowed to load the fucking image, there we go. This is the only tank that we're given from Disney, and it actually, to give Disney credits, it's actually on tracks. Like, it's very hard to see, but the actual vehicle is on tracks.
Let me pull this one up. By the way, I'm seeing the other design that you sent here in the second link. Yeah, they actually have that in Battlefront 2 classic game. And the way
I have it. It's also in Battlefront 2, the EA game, which is actually quite fun now. Unfortunately.
Other tank here. Which franchise is it? Which franchise is it from? Star Wars?
Oh, the second one is Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Right.
And this is the only tank that Disney introduced. And then, anyways, but yeah, tanks in sci-fi. For me, sci-fi, let's see, genres, just to get this over with. For me, the go-to genre that I will always have fun with is Starship Troopers, not the original book, the 90s film, because for some weird reason, Americans hated it.
Well, I mean, the film is kind of like a parody of the book, because a lot of people are saying the book's a lot better.
I don't hate it.
The issue is that the director, Paul Verhoeven, didn't finish reading the book that the film is based on, because whereas the film goes on the whole route, and I find it justifiably so, because I tried to read the book and then I tried to read a comic based on the original book, And yeah, the original book is just full-blown fascism is good. Like the book literally is a
I
love
don't know
letter.
about that.
you have to know, like, okay, you really should watch Sargon's video on Starship Troopers, because it really, a lot of people want to call it fascism, but it kind of isn't, in my opinion. I feel like
here's.
it's,
I listened to the full audiobook of the first Starship Troopers book by Robert A. Heinlein, and he at no point was there any dialogue about how being gay is banned or free speech is suppressed or anything like that. Like, yeah, you have to join the military in order to get the right to vote, but that's about it as far as it's quote unquote fascism. And I wouldn't even call that really fascism. I would call that a form
No,
of
the
a
whole
form of republicanism.
yeah, I mean, not to mention, like, yeah, I mean, it's literally, that's basically how the Romans did it. Like, basically, you don't have your full citizenship, but you still have your property rights. You still have, similar rights to, like, have your own, run a business, work, and do all that stuff. You just can't vote. Like, you don't have full citizenship. That's basically, it's similar to the Roman system in that, if you were not really born a Roman citizen, you would have to go to, you'd have to serve in the military to get full Roman citizenship as an auxiliary and stuff.
And sure, Heinlein's Earth was rather interventionist with its military, but outside of that and the restrictive, voting system, I do not see of what is the big argument to say that they are in fact fascistic.
Yeah, I just feel like
my listenings of the first book.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going about that logic, I mean, it sounds like, having like a military system that like requires service to basically, get like voting rights. I just don't really describe that as fascism. Fascism is more or less like more of an economic structure, including like social policies and stuff, which I don't think Starship Troopers has that. I feel like that's just kind of really what like a more liberal, like Democrat would argue for, just because they really hate, the idea of like specific restrictions on voting,
Anyways,
like, I know.
I forgot at this point. I was just going over the whole thing. So, franchise-wise, of course, Starship Troopers, the movies. Sadly, no games. I would really give a recommendation to people to watch the 3D anime films. I put anime in quotation marks.
3D.
There was actually
there's a CG series called Roughnecks Starship Troopers, the Roughneck Chronicles, or
I do not know about that. I do not follow the full thing, but Starship Troopers 1 is good, and Starship Troopers 2 is we do not talk about it. Starship Troopers 3 is actually quite entertaining, and then there's
more Starship Troopers films? Huh.
Yeah,
I thought there was only one.
There was one, and then there was a second one of where that the mobile infantry are fighting against the bugs in trenches. I haven't watched it myself. I just seen clips of it. Then the third one, John Rico actually comes back, and then the fourth one he comes back again. But it's all
Starship
CG.
Troopers and Starship Troopers Invasion, which is a Japanese-American film. I highly recommend it. It is quite enjoyable. And then there's Starship Troopers Traitor of Mars.
Have you ever seen the anime miniseries of it?
I'm just trying to see, but I'm actually not finding anything about.
There's legitimately like an anime series of it. I mean, like classic drawings, animated cartoons kind of anime. It isn't like
I'm trying to find
spaz, like the typical anime tropes. But it's in the anime art style, anyways.
Okay, so I found something. I found Ucho no Senshi, which is Starship Troopers, which is a 1988 anime, 6-episode anime based on the original book.
Yeah, that's the one that I was thinking of. I actually like that. I think that's the most faithful.
I haven't seen it, so I can't make any comments.
I recommend it. I definitely recommend it. It is kind of hard and slow to get through, but the 6th and even the 5th episode is where it really gets good.
Anyways, in other news, there is still Starship Troopers, the miniature game, and hopefully coming out soon, there is Starship Troopers, a strategy game coming out on Steam, which basically seems to combine the first and third films together because I've seen elements from both of those into it. Anyways,
I just want
but
to say
yeah.
very
I
quickly,
recently,
the 2000s Battlestar Galactica series is probably my favorite piece of Star Trek, or excuse me, sci-fi media.
But,
I also recently watched the 1953 version of World of the Worlds. That was actually a really good film.
yeah, that one's a classic. I still
Yeah, I like
remember.
the design
I
of the
still remember
Martians.
when I went to the U.S. for the first time. We met some of my father's friends over there, and we wanted to watch, which had recently come out on DVD at the time, "The Day the Earth Stood Still" with Keanu Reeves, the 2009 remake.
By the way,
And
I'm gonna
yeah.
I'm gonna leave right now to switch around my laundry, but I'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay. I guess we'll just talk for the whole thing. Maybe Outlaw can mention something rather than being
Yeah.
a silent creep back there.
What am I supposed to say? I don't know anything about Starship Troopers or anything. Okay.
Yes,
I
he's
mean,
the non-nerd. We have to bully him.
I like
Also,
I love the intro I love the intro into World of the Worlds, like the 1950s one, because it goes into a monologue showing the different planets, about why the Martians can't go to
don't
any other planet except Earth.
don't spoil to me because I still have yet to see it. It took me a while to find a good file to watch it. I have never seen the original. I've only heard praises. I've seen the Tom Cruise one, unfortunately, which I will say
Okay,
is
well, I
okay.
mean,
What I do
the
highly recommend for people who want to go more for the original story, there are two comic books. One is a single issue, the other one is a 3-issue. So the first one is part of the H.G. Wells comics, which is basically a new interpretation of the original books, which are actually pretty fantastic and fairly gruesome with the descriptions from the book. So I highly recommend that. And the other one is a fucking tongue twister of a title. It is just that.
well, you should the Martians in the 1950s version looks nothing like the ones in the Tom Cruise movie. They
I
look
know,
very
I
different.
know. I also know about the whole political scandal that H.G. Wells caused.
Oh,
Or do you not know that?
are you talking about the Orson Welles broadcast?
No. That one was just lies perpetrated by newspaper media. But
Well, what's the political scandal?
when whatchamacallit, when H.G. Wells released the book, he fell underneath massive flack by the scientific community at large because they deemed his descriptions of the aliens as to be highly inaccurate, and basically some accused him of trying to spread false information.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
okay. Outlaw just
really?
says he'll be right back. But yeah, so because at the time the scientific community deemed the human body structure to be the one true form of the universe, so these things with tentacles and so on didn't fit that at all. So it actually
Yeah, I
wound
get
up becoming a scientific and slightly political scandal at the time, and actually resulted in I forgot what's another book at the time, but there was another book that did something that involved the human race being enslaved by a more superior species, and basically a modern day human meeting the descendants of the enslaved humans, which wound up being short, big hair, big head, big eyed, gray skinned human figures, which at the time was used as the go to example against H.G. Wells' concept of what aliens would look like in his book.
so you mean like gray
So,
alien?
so the grays literally come from. Oh, you're back, Outlaw. That's good. Anyways, so yeah, so the grays literally come from a concept of a future enslaved human species. So it's like, I just thought I'd bring up that tension. Anyways, the other content, and here is a real fucking tongue twister for me. War of the World War One. It's a 3-issue comic book series, which basically combines World War One and War of the Worlds, and it's actually a pretty good read with some nice figures like Tesla and Einstein becoming involved in the whole thing, as humanity puts their differences aside to try to stop the alien menace. And it is quite enjoyable when like one of the pods lands in Verdun, and it's the French thinking it's German and the Germans thinking it's French, and disaster ensues. So yeah, it's a 3-issue comic book series. You can find it easily on the internet for free.
Okay.
But yeah, I really recommend it. Anyways, but for me, if I have to go to what I truly enjoy as sci-fi, not in genre, would it be a genre? Anyways, it would be alternative World War II history, and especially the wacky sci-fi stuff, kind of like in Wolfenstein New Order.
Okay, so I would say if you like
And-
alternative history, you'd love the US of Z. He's like a YouTuber that does what if scenarios.
Was this conservatives are giving every bit of peaceful leeway they can until a critical point hits to where violently crushing the opposition is what's left on the table.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Where did that pop up from?
I think it's just in the comments.
Yeah, I know that it's from the comments. I'm just wondering where did that pop up from, or did he just stop the stream way back? Anyway, it still thanks us true to that. But yeah, because there is a fantastic anime just for how wacky it is. Sadly, there is no English translation. There has been a small group of people who have been remastering the series because it only came out in Japan on VHS tapes and later on DVDs. Like, if I want to order one in Europe, it costs like 500 euros to get it. It's like, I'm not going to spend that money. I'm not going to spend $1,000 on a DVD set that may not work and may not have English subtitles. But anyways, the series is called, where is it? Konpeki no Kantai. Or something along the lines of Blue Water Navy. Long story short, Admiral Yamato gets killed, and instead of just dying, his personality, or his spirit, if you will, is transferred to his younger self prior to the the Sino-Russo War, the naval war that wound up making Japan a huge naval power. And basically he uses this influence to basically influence Japan and alternate history to make a better situation for Japan. But it results in complete wackiness to a weird degree. Like, for example, in the show at the start of Battle of Midway, because for some weird reason Pearl Harbor still happens despite him trying to prevent that. And also they join the Axis. So it's like a weird combination of events that still happened while Yamamoto tries to change the whole thing, and it just becomes completely wacky. So like all characters have different names for another reason. Like, instead of Adolf Hitler, it's Heinrich von Hitler.
Okay.
But there was clearly a disconnect between the writing department and the animation department, because at one point you can see Mein Kampf and it does say Adolf Hitler on it. So either Adolf Hitler exists as a different person or they're the same. It's a bit weird, but anyways.
And this is an anime?
Yes, it's an anime. I have it. It took me like fucking 4 years to find a full torrent for it. And it has no English. It's how many episodes? It's 32 episodes, and then there was a mini series based off of the development of one of their fighters, which is 15 episodes. So the whole thing is 47 episodes in total. And it just gets ridiculous because it starts with the United States versus Japan as it goes, and then later on turns to be Japan versus Nazi Germany. And and it also involves like such things like the British allying up with the Japanese, and like a combined force between Japan and Britain to liberate India from Nazi occupation. it really gets wacky. It really puts in a lot of historical figures, so there is a bit of historical fun to have with it. But just to give the whole thing of how you should not take this series like seriously at all. Battle of Midway. So 1941, they have Super Yamato, as the battleship is called. As you can imagine, it is Yamato, but now much more advanced than what the real thing was because what's his name?
What is that sound I'm hearing?
My computer is acting up.
Okay.
My bad.
Anyways, it's fine. Anyway, so you have Super Yamato because they started development of the Yamato class ships like during World War One, so that kind of makes sense. Anyways, so you have all these different planes going to attack Yamato as it would happen historically in 1945. Except in this case, Yamato just shoots at them with fucking lasers. So we already have laser technology in 1941, and it gets wacky and unstable. Also, the other thing that's hilarious of the whole thing is the film's version of FDR. Because what do you think of when you think of Franklin D. Roosevelt?
Horrible socialist?
Yeah, I'm talking visually. I'm talking the looks of the person, not politics.
Very big.
What do I think of the looks of FDR?
Yeah, because I'm just going to give you the description of FDR in this an alternative history anime that I'm talking about.
Sure. What does he look like there?
No. I just want your descriptions. I also want Outlaw to take part in this.
Tall and bald, okay?
Okay, so you want tall and... No, I'm talking about how... For fuck's sakes.
Okay, then just tall.
Just get to it.
Just explain what he
No,
looks
the quick
like.
thing that I wanted to ask you, when you think of the name FDR, what's the image of the person that comes to your mind instantly? Frail,
tall, and...
For me, it's frail, weak, disabled, because, polio.
Inwardly confident about himself, be it for better or worse, but outwardly frail and weak, yes.
Okay, I'm talking about visually, but not personality. Anyways, FDR in this film,
like
the show,
he holds himself a certain confidence in his personality is what I'm meaning. But go on.
Anyways, so FDR in the show, not only is he not suffering from polio, he looks like he could challenge fucking Hulk Hogan as he's blonde-haired and blue-eyed.
The fuck?
He looks like fucking Hitler's wet dream of the Aryan Superman.
Well, you gotta remember in Japan, basically, if you have an American character, they're always blonde-haired and good looking.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Douglas MacArthur, Eisenhower, and what's the other?
Okay, now what did I miss?
No, I just gave the description of FDR in the anime, where he is a tall, fully muscled, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Aryan god, basically.
Okay.
Who's not suffering from polio. From the Japanese, no less. From a series more precisely, that really wants to make Japan win the war. Like, I'm gonna find an image because the thing is, despite it being an anime, yeah, all the other characters look relatively good. Like, you can tell who Yamamoto is, you can tell who Hitler is, you can tell who Douglas MacArthur is. It's just FDR is the one who's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I highly recommend it if y'all want it. If not, I can just make a mega file.
I'm actually curious about this cartoon here that we were about to watch.
Can we play it now?
Yeesh.
Sorry.
Den Schrank mit seiner reichhaltigen Bart- und Perückensammlung. Dieser Superbart enthält einen Fallschirm, der Nick schon zweimal das Leben rettete. Knatterton überlegt, in welcher Verkleidung er möglichst unauffällig zu Knicker gehen soll. Vielleicht als würdiger Greis. Oder als Südländer. Oder als Intellektueller. Oder ganz bieder als Bayer. Oder etwa nostalgisch.
Oh. What the fuck?
Good old Germany. Anyways.
Oh, hey, I got a
case
video you guys should watch.
you all on live stream did not actually see that, there was some German detective speaking in German, obviously, who was thinking to himself, how am I going to dress? And just going through the different type of styles that he could do, like Mediterranean, intellectual, and so forth. And the last one he defined as nostalgic. And the picture that's shown on screen there was him with a Hitler haircut and a Hitler stash.
No, it was clearly a fucking Charlie Chaplin fan.
Oh, right.
That's literally one of the best.
Nostalgia not for old-time German Nazism and fascism. A nostalgia for old-time pre-World War I Hollywood cinema.
Yeah, to be fair, there was a hilarious joke some time ago, which was just when you see a historical picture of someone with a short, square mustache, there's literally only a 50-50 chance that you get the answer right to what the image is. It's literally only either Charlie Chaplin or Adolf Hitler. Those are the two only options. There's nothing else. Anyways,
anybody remember the one part from Idiocracy at the end when they go through the time machine, quote unquote? Time machine?
The arcade machine, the amusement attraction.
Oh yeah, I posted a link to a video you guys should watch. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I posted a link to something else, but let's watch yours first.
Okay.
Okay, looks like it's a long video. How long is your video, Z?
5 minutes, but I do not want to show the whole thing if there's credits before and at the end of it. I just wanted to show some of the craziness.
Okay, we'll watch that because that's much shorter. First. Okay.
Sitch and Adams show is live right now.
I beg your pardon?
I said the Sitch and Adams show is live right now.
Well, you're not held over here. You can run off. Be free.
Nah.
Keep in mind, there's 6 people watching our stream right now. I am so sorry about the extended torture that we will be giving you. So this is from the anime. This is... Hey, we're having fun. It's been a tough day.
That's some pretty cool animation.
And like I said, it took me like years to find out to find this series, and it wound up that I had to find an old torrent link, and it took something like 4 months to download it. I am enjoying listening to all of to you all talk.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, that's kind of you, right?
How come they don't have subtitles for this clip?
That's where I had explained it. This anime only it never really aired in Japan except for a couple of episodes. The rest of it was exclusively distributed via VHS and DVDs.
How come? Because the animation is pretty damn good for anime.
Yeah, I don't deny it. Except in the later episodes, they do turn to more 3D effects for the for the planes and stuff like that. And let's just say you can really tell.
Those jets, they got rid of their boosters and they got some blue fire, or they were blue, now they're reddish white.
I mean, these things are basically a kind of like, so as it's titled, interceptors. Design-wise, these things are based on the Onka? Basically the kamikaze thing.
Really?
Yeah, but they're now interceptors, or high-altitude interceptors. What's this? The Carter Show, Degenerate Law. Industrial Revolution and its consequences. But yeah, sadly there is no subtitles. There is a fan project going on where they remastered the series to be... We already read this comment. Oh wait, no, that's in the comment. We need a critical shift in entertainment. Shows that aren't regurgitating the same culture nonsense that has admittedly shaped and poisoned new generations. So yeah, see, so these are long-range German bombers based on the real life, or proposed.
Proposed technology that just never.
No, proposed planes that were supposed to be built, but you know, the war didn't go in my favor. But these would be planes part of the America Bomber Project. It is kind of sad how little shows there are that actually take advantage of World War II per se.
Damn.
I mean, ironically enough, this would be fairly realistic for what American pilots suffered over Europe.
What is this? Is this Japan fighting Germany or something?
Yes, later on in the war, because it starts off with, you know, Germany invades Poland, blah blah blah, that happens.
But in an alternate
And then-
history, Japan and Germany turn on each other.
Basically, the premise of the show is that Admiral Yamato is killed off in 1943, as happened in the real war. But in this universe, his soul, if you will, is transported to his younger self before he took part in the Sino-Russo War. So he dedicates his life to basically advancing Japan to what it is. So like by the Battle of Midway, Japan is using a ship called the Super Yamato, because the actual Yamato battleships started development like before World War One. It's ridiculous sci-fi. It's ridiculous. It's fun. You know, all you need to know is that early on you have the United States versus Japan. The United States gets a peace deal with Japan because of its whole situation, and then over time Japan and Germany become enemies, and that's where more of the fun is. I will tell you, the most hilarious thing is that somehow Admiral Yamamoto didn't know about what the Nazis were doing to the Jews. So they offer aid, because in real life they actually did offer aid to Jewish people. Japan, weirdly enough. But in this alternative timeline, the state of Israel isn't formed in where we know Israel now. It's actually formed in southern Japan. So you have like anime traditional European Jewish people, like in what's the Japanese kind of like dressed in, because I keep forgetting.
Kimono?
Yeah, in kimonos for like one scene, and it's like, what the fuck? And then there's like at least one map in the, like, just a flash second of it where it has like Israel and it's southern Japan.
I don't see why Israel would form in Japan. That doesn't make any sense according to history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Also,
because the
according
Japanese
to
would not want that.
according to God's promise and all of that.
I
mean,
like I said, it is a very, very bizarre thing. It's over the top. I mean, you got to remember, this whole film, the whole series kind of just screams, we want Japan to win the war.
Mm-hmm.
But it does result in some things, like at the end, Japan working or allying up with Britain, and subsequently allying up with the United States to combine a force against Nazi Germany.
What did Japan do to leave America alone and turn around on Germany? Did they just conquer the entire Pacific and America no longer challenges their
No.
their
This
Pacific
is where the whole
dominance?
thing where Pearl Harbor still happens. So Japan is still the instigator. And ironically enough, I think this was a little fun joke in the show. Japan does do the same thing where they sent out, a declaration of war before Pearl Harbor happens. But just like in the real life history, because of a screw up in translation of time zone convergence or conversion of time zones, they send the declaration of war after they attack Pearl Harbor again. But yeah, basically the whole thing is it's sci-fi because, like I said, Battle of Midway, Yamato has lasers now. That's 1941, and they already have laser technology. And it's like I said, if you're interested, I will make whatchamacallit, a mega document with it.
Know, it kind of reminds me of Command & Conquer Red Alert 3. Like with the alternative history of where that the Japanese were left more alone to their own devices, or they become more successful in the war, and so therefore they were able to go real science fiction and super advanced with their technology without being crippled by the bomb.
Here's the funny thing. Here's another funny thing. Guess who moves to the new state of Israel that's like formed in southern Japan?
Albert Einstein.
Bingo. And you get to see Albert Einstein in the Komodo. Like I said, it's fucking ridiculous. It's fun. But what I still like about the whole thing is that it took Japan to have like a 40-plus year lead to ultimately go to war with Germany in this series. Whereas Germany's technological development is supposed to have continued like the same way in the real world.
Einstein
and at the end,
Jewish, wasn't he?
And at the end, yes, Einstein was Jewish. But by the end, Nazi Germany and this new empire of Japan, they're equals in terms of technological strengths. And there's actually portions where Nazi Germany is able to outsmart and with use of tactics, outwit the Japanese. With even them, I'm not going to spoil it out. I'll just send you all a link. I just want to read Roy's comment over here.
Germany decided to actually dress properly for whatever weather that they were going to fight Japan in this time.
Yes. Ironically, this is an anime where not everyone is screaming all the time. One of the things that annoys me in anime is how they all scream and moan constantly when they speak, even casually. Yeah, fair enough.
Preach, Roy, preach.
Oh, and one last bit of alternative history, because like I said, this takes all the way
back. Just get to it.
The Soviet Union isn't run by Joseph Stalin. It's run by fucking Trotsky. Something happened and Trotsky won. That's all you need to learn. And because Trotsky was part of it, Germany conquers like 80% of the Soviet Union until they receive aid by the Japanese.
Anyways, let's watch this video. We might not watch it all because it is a very long video.
Hey, we got time to waste.
It seems like that we have devolved away from politics, and now we're just fooling around with and other fun stuff.
I mean, we started off with not really a concept as to what it was. This thing, I mean, it was just me, Outlaw, and Savage TV over here. And then we just like covered the basics. And then y'all two just started the whole thing with Star Trek. And it's just spiraled out of control from there.
All right, so we're back with the only game where the more you enslave the people, the more they love you for it. It's City State. So the last time we created a land where the government owned everything. And although our city-state was basically made of poor, poverty-stricken lowlifes, it actually worked. And everyone was fairly happy, probably because they didn't have the tenacity to fight back against the government. Today we're doing something different, damn it. Custom game. So today we're going to do the exact opposite. Today I want to make a place where there is no laws. Everyone just does whatever the hell they want. The people run free, raping and pillaging each other for the benefit of I guess just themselves. But whatever, it's gonna be an anarchy, all right? I want as little government involvement as possible. Let's do an island this time, because why not? Freaking sweet. Okay, what would you call a city-state with no rules, where people do whatever the hell they want? Washington with more coffee. Damn it. Haha, got it. Okay, so we're going as anarchy-esque as possible here in the beginning. It's going to take a while to probably get full anarchy. Individual judgment, responsibility, and self-ownership. Yep. Private property, because people should have that. Yep. Limited government power. Hell yes. More regulations, less regulations. Less regulations. Welcome, everyone, to Washington, plus more coffee. A capitalist oligarchy. for now. Sweet baby Jesus of the oil. I guess we're building over here. I learned from my previous mistakes. Everyone gets a friggin' park. Should the government provide housing? No. Everyone gets to fend for themselves, basically. The upper class is totally okay with this. How should criminals be dealt with? Prisoners are all assigned to private jails, so everyone gets to figure out how they want to do their time. Actually, this one's even better and it makes us more money, so we'll do this right now. Hoping everyone's ready to drill for some friggin' oil. It's all gonna be privately owned. Nothing is owned by the state. More parks, damn it. See this crap right over here? It's like a friggin' zit. The second you see this stuff, you gotta annihilate it off the face of your city.
I remember this
Gender
video.
equality, you guys figure it out.
Well, we've already put
Capitalist
on genocide.
anarchy. We're already there. I'm gonna tell you something. Capitalist anarchy. I think I like the ring of that government more than any other we've ever had. Like Moses. We're going straight through the water. Our entire economy is going to be built off of the back of oil. Not that it's a bad thing. I mean, what the hell? As is typical for basically anything Gray ever does, we're in the red monetary-wise really poorly. Immigration. All of the immigration. Taxi cab regulations. What the hell? Anyone can be a taxi cab driver. Sounds good. Out comes our very first
Hey,
set of
that's just Uber
bonds.
with
Here
extra
we
steps.
go. There's a
just
low-cost
what?
housing.
I just made the joke. That's just Uber with extra steps.
Was
Uber,
he
you
giving
just sign up and you can be a molester of any kind and still get a job.
Wait, just a couple seconds ago there, was he giving out loans to his citizens?
Let me see.
Said bonds. Said
It's good. Out comes our very first set of bonds.
I'm
Here
about
we
to
go.
issue-
There's a low-cost
issue
housing
bonds.
backlog.
Well,
All right, hold
I
on. Where the hell-
pause.
What the hell is this?
I just
What?
have a little bit of a nitpick. I mean, of course, you wouldn't have a city builder game if it was like complete anarchism, but nonetheless, if this was going to be like true anarchy, he would, for one, not give out bonds to his citizens, and two, he would not do the building himself. The citizens, as a bunch of NPCs,
I think the whole
would
point
just
is that
completely do it
him
at their
building
own
is
fruition.
the citizens.
Sorry, what?
building. I think the whole building stuff is run by the citizens, not by the government. It's supposed to be.
Except the thing is that he was like selecting the type of buildings that he wanted to do and place them down on the
I think
land
that's
that he
just
wanted to place
because
them.
that's how the game is structured. I don't
This
think
is
Yeah,
the game.
that
It's
you gotta remember there has to be a portion of gameplay over there.
Yeah, that's why I say that it's not possible to have an anarchist city builder game. But I'm just being nitpicky, is all.
Yeah, this is unbelievably nitpicky. This is a fucking
gets-
city builder. What
it
are you
gets
gonna
really
do?
funny
You're just
now.
gonna give people. You're gonna give digital people money and just see what they do with it.
Just
Yeah.
gonna
Oh, it's a
essentially
friggin'
do nothing and have the
refinery.
game no longer continue.
Okay. How should we deal with drug use? Legalize all drugs. Anyone can have whatever they want. Again, the upper class loves this. I don't understand it. More
The lower
bonds.
class are loving the
Oh,
drugs.
look at this. We got a mansion built.
Just the middle
with
class don't
with
like
a tennis court. Why were the upper class? Oh, that's right. It seems
Middle
like the
class
upper
are like
class
centrists. They don't like
loves
anything.
anarchy. I don't know why they would. There's middle class people over here. Look at this. Greenhouse gas standards. To what extent should the government encourage lower carbon emissions? None. People can do whatever the hell they want. Is this our high class guy? Look what this guy has. Guy has like a 4-floor friggin' mansion with a giant ass pool. Damn. Actually, this whole area is a very upper class neighborhood. The rest of it's all middle class. Everyone has big ass houses and everything. These guys over here are living in the trailer parks. But I mean, you know,
Trailer
right down the
park
road,
production.
big money. All right, we need to start mining for friggin' gold because we're gonna run out of money real quick. Here's some over here. Gun control. Upper class loves that too. Okay, this little neighborhood over here is getting out of hand. Like, now we have, this guy has a garden on the top of his mansion. Like there's like a damn putting green up here or something. More bonds.
Honestly, I
This
support more
anarchy is
concepts.
the
like
weirdest
that.
thing. Look at all this. There's upper class and middle class people everywhere. Like before it was all lower class and now it's completely the opposite. Like everyone's middle and up. Look at this. Everyone's middle and upper class now. More
Pause.
people, damn it.
Yeah.
This game, City State, looks like democracy, but better. You guys ever played the game called Democracy?
Nope.
Yeah, I did. Most of the time, you only get two outcomes. You either get assassinated by black nationalists or you get assassinated by the governments, the capitalists.
Democracy.
By a
That's it.
black nationalist? Why a
Yeah,
black
the little black
nationalist
power
specific-
group. It's basically Black Lives Matter. You get assassinated.
Well, okay.
At least Democracy
nonetheless-
3. That's the outcomes in Democracy 3. Yeah, you either get assassinated by
Democracy
businessmen.
3 you have a whole bunch of decisions that you make. Well, actually, I don't know how similar they are because Democracy 3, I think there might be more of an opposition party to sort of challenge you, if I'm not wrong in that assumption. But essentially, this game looks like Democracy 3, except better, and that you actually get to see your city being built. Whereas in Democracy 3, you don't see your city getting built. You just look at a whole bunch of stats and results from your voting and the way that you're spending your political capital. Excuse me.
Well, yeah, this is more visual, I would say. You get to see the visual aspects of things going on.
Yep.
All the people. This little peninsula is all high-end homes. Now, don't get me wrong. They're waiting to get ransacked and stabbed in the kidneys for their stuff. But in the meantime, man, they are putting down some houses up in here. Wildlife preservation. We're not doing crap about it. Hopefully the wildlife doesn't get out of hand. There is a freaking balls ton of gold over here, and it's about to belong to us. Oh, damn, the roadways are totally congested right now. Jesus, I didn't know things were getting so busy. I've been trying to keep ourselves out of debt as much as possible, but it's tough, man. Here you go. Little MS Paint never hurt anyone for the roads. Usually when you upgrade the roads, all the land around it gets upgraded. Yep, there goes. Alcohol and tobacco. No taxes. Do whatever you want with them. Again, the upper class is just thrilled about the way we're running things. Or I guess not running things.
Question.
No
wait,
water.
pause there. Another nitpick. I just saw very quickly there that the lower class were starting to approve of the decision less. Like, why would they be pissed off of there being no taxes for drugs?
I think it's in reference to the whole idea that the lower class are basically wanting social benefits, you know? Like, I guess the lower class in the city are like Portland lower class people. Because if you're in Portland, virtually, I mean, multiple different classes support it, but in Portland, the lower class want to tax the rich.
Do they want to tax drugs though? Because the decision making right there was on taxing drugs.
Oh, it was? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm not sure
that was what was puzzling me. Is do that many poor people in this make believe society of his?
Thrilled.
Yeah,
I think taxing drugs would reference like business taxes. You know,
might need to rewind it a little bit more, Rash. Should we discourage the use of tobacco and alcohol with additional taxes? And he chooses no additional tax?
No taxes. Do whatever you want with them. Again, the upper...
And then look at that. Lower class. Okay, it says lower class growth, not necessarily approval, but I guess this translates to happiness and approval, as the guy has been saying throughout this game. But the lower class, for some reason, they are not too happy about that decision. It's just perplexing. Huh.
I guess it's addiction. Like, people are saying, oh, we're being exploited by these companies or tobacco or something. Like, people take tobacco and alcohol, and then they blame everyone else for being addicted and stuff.
Oh, okay. So
that might be what they're referring to.
Because of the fact that they're not taxing us to disincentivize us from having drugs, that means that they are, like, exploiting our own addiction.
Our class is just thrilled about the way we're running things. Or I guess not running things. No water. There's no reason to have any liquid in my anarchy. I'd like to take a moment to show everyone the sprawling friggin' metropolis that we have so far. We are still gruesomely in the red when it comes to money, but things are looking pretty impressive, man. There's a couple of waterfront properties over here that are freaking stacked. Foundation of the Arts. Sure, whatever. Who cares? So, since we're so wealthy, like, what happens if I put a beach down? I'm gonna put a beach right in the middle of the city. Before, like, no one ever wanted to go to any of our ski slopes or beaches because I don't think that there was enough people that were highfalutin enough. So, we'll see if this works. Oh my god. 450 occupancy? Holy Jesus, this thing's making us $158 a month? Okay, I was going about this the wrong way. Gold is not the friggin' way to go. Sweet baby Jesus. How about a friggin' ski slope? Okay, occupancy is up to 900 people. We had like 7 or like 15 at our last ski slope. $194 a month in sales tax revenue. This is gonna be our baby. All right, roads gotta get upgraded over here so that more people can get to the ski slope. Labor law. Corporations are free to elaborate their own contracts. So this basically means that people can do whatever the hell they want when it comes to working, as long as they both sign a contract. It doesn't say that they have to sign it willfully. This can be total coercion. I just made prostitution legal. The upper class is totally fine with this. So we have a new weird issue that I haven't thought about. Our people are starting to become a lot of middle and upper class, which leaves not a lot of schleps to work the regular jobs. So our unemployment rate is always super low, and I can't open any new establishments, but we're almost out of debt. No additional tax. I want to see every single vehicle giving Mother Nature the middle finger. Approve.
Right there.
Our ski slope is now making us $315 a month. I'm not gonna lie, this looks pretty good over here. Upper class guy, got his kick-ass house. Right behind him, he's got a friggin' beach with a tiki bar. There's one thing Gray loves more than anything else. It's a full liquor bar. Put another beach in there. I don't care about gold anymore. Bulldoze all this crap. All right, we're going through. I really hope that this doesn't collapse our entire economy, but I'm gonna go through and make every house upgrade a large house. You get an upgrade, and you get an upgrade. Everyone gets upgrades. Oh, they're starting to do it. Whenever you see this building stuff, that's really good. That basically means that they're taking the upgrades and doing something with it. Sweet Jesus, yes. What the hell is this? Is this like a Home Depot? It's called Twin Barn. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
I think it might only be worth mentioning quickly that does this fall under fair use? Like what we're doing here on the live stream, because it's barely any.
We should be adding more commentary.
Yeah, that's. I thought it'd only be fair to mention. I mean, especially with the recent Hassan Piker drama. You guys ever heard about the recent Hassan Piker drama?
What's going on with that?
Well, Hassan Piker over on Twitch, that's where he streams. He just uploads his clips on his YouTube channel. But on Twitch, he will walk away from his computer for an hour, or at least minutes upon end, and just let the videos that he's reacting to play while he is away. So no commentary, just he goes ripping whole cloth off of other people's videos and have them play on his own live stream to keep the attention of his own viewers. And he doesn't even credit the videos that he is presenting to his live streams and whatnot. And he's just making all sorts of bullshit excuses when he gets called out for his violation of fair use by JXC, who is the main person that called him out. And of course, all his buddies at EFAP, Mauler, Rags, Fringy, the rest of them. All of them are calling him out on that, saying that he's in the wrong. He's just all like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to, like, not eat or not take a shit while streaming? No, that is not the solution. The solution is you can either pause the video so that you can, like, continue with your commentary later afterwards, or play some highlight reels of your own show or anything else like that. It is just very hilarious. I would have to show it, like, Mahler is the last 2 episodes of EFAP go commentating on it. It is very freaking funny, especially how when he gets called out by even his own fan base, Hassan Piker, I mean, how Hassan Piker gets called out by even his own fan base, just the slightest bit of criticism, he decides to ban them. People who have been like 12 or even 24-month-long paid subscribers of him, he just bans them over the smallest bit of criticism. He has a fucking meltdown over that shit.
Anyways, I think we can skip a good portion of this if we do that.
I mean, I'm liking the video here. It's just I don't want people to be all like, oh, Rash is violating fair use or anything else like that.
Well,
I mean, technically, we've been pausing every few minutes, mainly because you want to nitpick something.
Yeah, I'm the person preventing fair use violation here, people.
Yeah, but at the same time,
thank me for my effort.
Yeah, thanks for the effort. But at the same time, I think the other thing is we oftentimes tell our audience to go and check out these people that we watch their videos of, unless they don't align with us politically speaking. And we always show their YouTube channel down there and the video title question.
Anyways,
So
let's continue.
To a ski slope, next to a ski slope. Okay, so here's where things are right now. Everything's looking pretty stacked. we're down a ton of money. I need to make a bunch of business over here because I don't think I have enough people to support all of the... Never mind, I may totally have enough people to support all this. More beaches. What in the holy hell is this? I have never seen that before.
Holy
That is the
shit,
most phallic-looking object that I have ever witnessed in this game.
No, pause. Have you seen Jeff Bezos' rocket, you pleb? It looks
boy.
if anything, it looks like a fucking caterpillar standing up with some spikes coming out of its nose. If you think that's phallic, well then you haven't seen phallic, dude.
Well, for one, this video is from 2019, so he might...
It predates Jeff Bezos.
Okay, fair enough. But all the same, there are like a whole lot more phallic-looking things than that. That almost looks more like a caterpillar standing up on its hind legs, skyward with spikes coming out of its face.
I was thinking it looks kind of like a sex toy with the balls part.
Maybe it'd be a very odd-looking sex toy. I mean,
Have you
it
not
isn't gonna
seen
look
those
like
kinds
a
of sex
stereotypical
toys
dildo.
with the little ball parts?
Oh god.
I have not, and I don't know if I want
Outlaw,
to. I'm just
this
saying.
is something that will get your channel fucking removed.
I'm just saying that this
I
guy...
am waiting for the moment he bulldozes everything and drops a massive McDonald's restaurant from the sky. Yeah, that seems like something that could happen. Anyways, I gotta quickly run to the bathroom. I dropped a video that's only 2 minutes long, in case y'all want to cancel this video.
But
Okay.
yeah, that is like super tall right there. That looks like something that either China or UAE or some other third world country that is trying to compensate for their poverty and authoritarianism with overly exotic, super tall, over the top buildings, you know?
Well, let me see if I can see the size of it. Occupant. Well, there's the occupancy.
Yeah, it looks like it can go up to 2,000, the occupancy.
Yeah, 2,000 people. They have over 1,200 employees at this building. So that would be a massive building. I mean, we already can see it's massive.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Was there like, how many people lived, or was there anyone who even lived in the World Trade Center, just out of curiosity?
I don't know. I've never looked that up at all.
I mean, those are some pretty big buildings. Like, you would think that, I mean, what the fuck are they doing with all that freaking space? One has to ask. I mean, some of it had to be living quarters of some sorts. Like, somebody was traveling from the other side of the country or the other side of the world for a business meeting and so forth. And so they just have some hotel areas just within that building. Not even like they have to go down the street. They just live in a certain area or reside in a certain area in the World Trade Center.
I'm trying to see if I can find anything about people residing in the World Trade Center.
Are there any residents in
the World Trade Center was that old? It went back to the 1970s.
I'm not seeing a whole bunch of. I'm not seeing a whole lot, but list of tenants in one World Trade Center. Other things that made the North Tower distinguishable from its twin was that there was a canopy connected to the North Tower's west facade on street level. ... So that's the highlight of that link that I'm looking at. I mean, I guess it's a possibility. Oh, World Trade Center's first residential tower sparks. Oh, this is an article from current year, so it's probably something being. What is this?
Yeah. Here it is. I'm sorry, but from another group that I'm in, Afghanistan has officially become the Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan.
Really?
Yep.
Let me see. Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan?
Yes.
So should it still be called Afghanistan, or?
If you want to be simple about it, yes, but technically it's all gone.
Okay, so this is about a current. This article that I'm looking at is about a current building project. It says 2 decades after September 11, 2001, the last rebuilding block of the World Trade Center is coming together. A proposal for a 900-foot residential skyscraper on Site 5, formerly home to the Deutsche Bank building, is in the works. It will include 1,325 apartments, a quarter of which will be so-called affordable or rented below market rate. They say so-called affordable verbatim in this article, but yeah. Okay, so never mind. That's not talking about how it was with the actual trade center when it was still standing.
I think you could still say this is still Afghanistan. It's just they changed the form of their government from a. What did Afghanistan actually have as a form of government?
I don't know. We will have to see. Anyways, we got a message from Nancy Pelosi. The president is from Nancy Pelosi. The president is about to commended? Yeah, sorry. The president is to be commended for the clarity of purpose of his statement of Afghanistan and his action. The Taliban must know the world is watching its actions. We are concerned about the reports regarding the Taliban's brutal treatment of all Afghans, especially women and girls.
I mean, to be fair, I just don't really care about Afghanistan, considering the fact we shouldn't even be in the Middle East anymore.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I agree. It's just that, like, well, I mean, just have to wonder, like, the potential terrorism, spread out to other
Yeah,
nations.
there is that, but
the issue is that to actually end the Taliban isn't that too much of a problem. The issue is we need politicians who actually want to end the war.
I
Not
thought
want
it is a
the
bigger
war.
problem because, like,
want
in them, you have to bomb them, and that would kill a bunch of innocent people. That's the problem.
No,
like,
it depends on how you go about it. Because there was a good post made by a former U.S. soldier where he basically argues that the United States didn't lose, the Iraq War or even in Vietnam, because his argument was that the United States had so much power and was killing much more of the enemy than they could, that the way that they decided to the way that the North Vietnamese and stuff like in Iraq and Afghanistan is that they changed their tactic of, instead of fighting the United States Army / military.
Sorry, that was my alarm, by the way.
No problem. Yeah, they changed their tactics from, instead of directly targeting the United States military, they target the United States government, aka we make artillery batteries on top of hospitals and hold we keep the hospitals open, but we hold basically the people inside hostage and use it as a strategic point. Because the United States government will not openly fire on a hospital filled with civilians. And when it does happen, it does tend to be where someone got the wrong info and fucked up. But more often than not, that is the strategy. So instead of just carpet bombing everything.
Yeah, whereas in World War II, we bombed entire German cities with innocent people. So it's like, apparently we now have a conscience.
Yeah. But at the same time, that doesn't really matter, considering the level of where the United States is at. Yeah. Because let's take Donald Trump and mother of all bombs, the MOB.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was something that Barack Obama transferred over and never bothered to use it. And with Trump, it was just a matter of, they found an entire camp. This was just the Taliban. There was no civilians around. It was in a valley. Dropped the fucking thing on them.
Wait, didn't Trump basically have the Taliban on the run, almost gone, and then Biden came in, and now they just took over, right? Yeah.
Yes. Donald Trump actually, I forgot who was in charge of the whole Afghan operation underneath the Trump administration, but they did spend their time, because the Taliban cannot always spend its entire time in the cities, because at some point people start to fight back when they get really annoyed with you. So they did have to spend a decent. I mean, like, did anyone else find out the whole hilarious thing that it turns out the Taliban has like a huge stockpile of helicopters, including Heinz from the Soviet Union when they invaded,
Yeah.
which are still functional. Except the Taliban has no one who knows how to fly a helicopter. Because the United States air supremacy was so strong that they never bothered because they would just lose their helicopters whenever they tried. So they kept these things hidden, and now they try to actually use them to attack the city of Kabul, except they found out they have no one who knows how to fly a helicopter.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyway.
Well, like, yeah, the Taliban are still using like AK-47s from Soviet-era rifles.
It doesn't matter about the fucking... The United States is still using the 50 caliber Browning, which was developed in 1918 and issued in 1918.
Well, but what happened to all those rail guns? Like, I don't know, the United States military has some really advanced weapons out there.
Rail guns, it has the issue where the weapons are too self-destructive.
Okay.
Like, for example, the naval railgun, it's only usable on the... What is it called again? Zundab? What's the stealth destroyers that the United States government built like 3 of them because they cost too much money?
Well, you mean the stealth bombers?
No, the stealth destroyers. We're talking Navy over here.
I forgot what they're called.
Stealth Navy. This will always come up. There we go. Fucking hell, why can I not find the name? Yeah, the Zumwalt. The Zumwalt destroyers are the only ones which have a large enough and powerful enough power plant to produce the electricity needed for the naval railgun. Now, the reason why it's not mounted is because the naval railgun can only fire about 10 shots until it's completely ruined. Because at the current moment, the issue is that the round likes to stick to one side of the barrel. So the whole issue is that the round literally is destroying the barrel every time you fire it. So you're partially damaging the round, which isn't too important, but you're also damaging the barrel. And it's the exact same thing with the military, with the army railgun. It's the issue where the weapon is too powerful that it's literally destroying itself with each shot. Anyways,
I think we should finish this video.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
How many floors is this thing? This is still only 5 of 6? What do you need to get it to 6 of 6? Jesus Christ, there's 1,000 people work there. It's just like an entire inlet of beaches over here. It's just all beaches. All around. Welcome to Washington plus more coffee. The libertarian anarchy. Okay, more bonds. Should the government limit foreign investments? Hell no. Oh my god, the friggin' estimated revenue. Oh, whatever. Our monorails have to continue to expand throughout the city because there's so much traffic right now. Oak City, $15,000. Can't quite afford it yet. I think we're gonna need a couple more ski slopes first. Private schools are free to operate without any kind of limitations, and holy god, the revenue. Oh, I never thought private schooling would be so lucrative. What the hell are we teaching these kids in school anyway? I kind of wonder. Respect the flag.
What?
I said, and the poor were approving of it too. Do you see of how approving the poor were of that decision to, let private schools do what they want to do?
Mm-hmm.
That was all.
Damn it. All the kids are learning how to drink coffee early in life. They need to know because they're going to be taking advantage of the rest of society. Wow. The monorail in places isn't enough for the cars. What the hell's after monorails? Stations. Okay. Oh, you put stations down and it increases the monorail for the entirety of the monorail. That's pretty cool. That's friggin' hot. Oh, I like it. Okay, Hotel Ass Kickery is now at its full size. 3 out of 3. 2,000 people occupancy, 1,300 friggin' employees. Right next to the phallus of power over here. I just lost another 7.
That's pretty good.
$700 because I said that merchants can sell whatever the hell they want. The biggest problem with this friggin' anarchy is there's no way for the government to make any money. Okay, this entire neighborhood, I'm upgrading. And you can see how quickly the upgrades are taking. That means that all these buildings are going to get to be big as hell. Animals. You can do whatever you want to them. Okay, the stacks are starting to roll in. Now that I've begun to make all the housing the largest it can be. Look at the skyscrapers just popping up everywhere. I never knew that anarchy could be so glorious. You would expect everyone to just be rioting in the streets and beating the shit out of one another. But really, everyone's working together and making a ton of money doing it. Because the government gets nothing.
And
National
building
security
upward too,
surveillance.
huh?
There is... Isn't any.
Pretty
I'm
soon.
just going buck wild, upgrading everything I can possibly find. It all changes in a split second, like at the drop of the hat. It just upgrades immediately. Look at this, all this, upgrade, 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 all of it. Destroy the water. No one loves water. In the anarchy, we don't need water. Water is like a secondary thing. There's no reason for it to exist. It doesn't.
Pretty soon, this city state of his is going to be like Coruscant. Like any of y'all looked into the deeper lore of Coruscant in Star Wars?
No.
I just know that George Lucas actually wanted to make a live-action TV series in the early 2000s about the lower levels of Coruscant. It actually did reach the point of what?
I heard about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it actually reached the point of concept art and testing of certain props for specialized stormtroopers.
I would definitely pay to watch that because I'm rather intrigued with the Coruscant lore. And excuse me, from what I read and know about it, the lower and lower that you get on Coruscant, the more and more poverty-stricken it is. But level 1313, as implied or told by the game that was supposed to be released before Disney bought all of Star Wars, including LucasArts, and canceled it. 1313 is explained to be the most high crime-ridden level of Coruscant, or something like that. But yeah, Coruscant, it used to have been like Earth, but throughout tens and even hundreds of thousands of years of urbanization, they built over 5,000 levels of city. So not only is it just a city a planet that is just all city, it's a planet that is all of super tall, super high city.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, isn't this the city planet, Coruscant?
Yeah, you dingus. No. Yeah, in all seriousness, yes, that is the.
I wonder how many people would live on that planet.
There is an estimate out there. Let me see. How do you spell Coruscant?
Coruscant.
Yep. Coruscant population.
Around 3 trillion.
Really?
Yes.
I'm going for the Star Wars fandom, which also is called the Wikipedia. It is the one of more reliable for Star Wars lore.
Yeah, Wikipedia says it's 1 trillion.
Population just trillions.
Says it's 3 trillion around.
On Wikipedia, on the quick info, it just says trillions. That's it. And then there is citation 30. So what is the 30th thing? Victory's Prize. What is Victory's Prize?
I mean, yeah, trillions, because...
Victory's Prize is a canon novel written by Alexander Freed. It is the sequel to Shadowfall 2020, the first volume of the Star Wars Alphabet Squadron. Wait, what? Okay, so apparently this number is coming from Disney's new lore.
Oh.
So take that with a grain of salt. Just gonna do a cool population.
But yeah, I just wanted to comment that at this rate, that's what this city-state game was going to almost look like. Something similar to that. Obviously not as tall as Coruscant, not as many levels of city, but with how much that they're urbanizing within his game here, they would have to get started on a second level or something like that.
Well, my question is
purely fantasy.
How, let's say if we went with the idea of like something like a Coruscant, where there's multiple levels in a city, how would that exactly work? Because like let's say even if it was 1 trillion, you would have to be like all over the entire planet, wouldn't it? You'd have to have no oceans, like almost entirely.
Yeah, Coruscant doesn't have oceans. It looks like. I think it's
Coruscant doesn't even have a planetary surface anymore.
Well,
Like the actual surface of the planet, as far as I understand, is
it's like they
invisible
generate
from-
stuff. Yeah, they like
There
generate their own
is-
resources.
yeah, they generate their own power, definitely. As far as food and water and stuff like that, I think most of it is imported. But there
And most of it is
one-
imported, which is kind of the reason as to why the Confederacy occurs, because Coruscant is the center of the Republic, and it always looks like Coruscant always got first dibs on everything, especially when other systems seem to suffer.
Yeah, because in Star Wars, there's a whole
think
thing
of it
about
like,
the core world versus the outer rim. Like the outer
Yeah.
rim is poor, and the core worlds have a lot of resources. Yeah.
You can kind of think of it as the current state of China, where China does all its effort to take as much water as possible to the northern cities, which barely has any water, and they lose like 70% of the water along the way.
Yeah, what I was wanting to say about the whole natural habitation, there's like only one piece of land on Coruscant that hasn't been completely covered up, and it's the tippy top of a bit of mountain. What used to be the highest mountain in all of the planet is now like the only part of nature that is like sticking out from all the levels of city.
But yeah, that would be an immense feat to change an entire planet to a city, basically.
Well, we're also talking about an advanced society in a fictional universe that had thousands of years to develop.
Yeah,
True.
Uh,
Although I wonder what would be the majority of the population of that.
Current estimates are 68% human.
Yeah, humans are the majority.
Why is it that humans are the most populous in the Star Wars universe, other than obviously for
Because in the core, because human beings basically inhabited most of the core worlds, and they started expanding out. Like basically, human beings were one of we're one of the early species to spread out throughout the galaxy. That's why they're more populated than other aliens. Like I guess they breed more.
Which is funny. You think that there would be
Actually, sorry to interrupt y'all. I got the perfect answer as to why humans are, and it's in the form of a song. It's only a minute long. I say we end our stream with the song to answer your question, but let's first finish this.
Okay.
Doesn't
I've
provide
been,
any
sending,
sort of capitalistic
several different
gains.
video
I can build a
links
foundation of the arts. Sure, what the hell?
just see where we
Welcome
go.
everyone to Big Ass Oak City. What does it do? I don't know. We'll find out. Okay, I'm destroying all this water. We need more land to build more businesses. Y'all ready for this? There we go.
Y'all
All
ready
this
for
is
this?
just industry. All of it. It's just places for people to go
This
to
ain't
work all
Space Jam.
day. Oh, I can
And
have
none
one
of our
of these
Star
now. It's
Black
80
Monster.
grand, but I want it. Whoredom City? Whoredom? I'm going to put it right here in the
What on
industrial
earth is
area.
that
There's
thing?
no low-class people
what?
That weird shaped building.
that can even afford to
Oh,
live
trust
in
me,
there.
you should
Over
see the
here, we've got a
Shanghai
total
building in Mumbai. Or Bombay, precisely.
population of 1,500 people. Over here, people are starting to move in. But again, no one that's low class. Like, this is a third low class. There is none over here. Private companies are allowed to provide armed and unarmed security services. So basically, the police are owned by the people. The state doesn't run anything.
Hey, it's RoboCop.
Depending on how you want your laws, this could be a good or a bad thing. Oh, there's helicopters that are flying in now? What the hell? Look at downtown. You can hear police sirens now. Oh, this city is
It's
way
kind of
better
sad that
than our other
helicopters
city.
aren't really
You can have an
profitable.
entire...
As being used for like travel and stuff, you're saying? Or?
Yeah, because
Yeah, it's like in
during
LA.
during the 60s, when the whole issue was that like travel to the airports was becoming just as long as the actual, inter-country flights in the United States, companies started to bring in helicopters, and a lot of companies found out the hard way that there's no way to make helicopters profitable.
Well, people use helicopters today to avoid traffic in LA, because LA traffic is really terrible.
Yeah,
that would be like
but aside from
upper
that
class.
sector, to try to actually make it more like a serious transport as what they tried in the late
Oh,
50s,
yeah.
60s. They just found out the hard way that with
Yeah, no, it's,
with the design of helicopters as a whole, it's basically not
Yeah.
a profitable venture.
Helicopters are basically like a rich person's luxury, basically. Yeah.
Not really.
Higher
You
friggin-
can even own a helicopter in a small scale. I forgot what's the helicopter that was developed for Vietnam, which there's actually more now than they were built because of how many spare parts were built. You can own one relatively cheap. Hell, there's even some ex-British military helicopters that cost less than most cars out there.
Anyways, just continue.
An amusement park now. Where in the hell can I fit this thing? Destroy more water. Right there. Frickin' sweet. Everyone gets monorails. I don't even care anymore. I have so much money that we can do whatever the hell we want. I put a marina down. People are sailing out in frickin' sailboats now. There's helicopters. Giant-ass buildings. Monorails. We're completely out of debt. We're making $14,000 in profit. I think that these were
14,000.
industrial buildings. I'm really not sure.
pretty sure
so
that
I'm just gonna put more
each
money-making
unit of money
buildings where
adds
they
up
used
to
to be.
millions in
There's
this
a
game.
Corvette in every driveway
Come
and
again?
a pool in.
I said I'm pretty sure that each unit of money in this game is actually translated to 1 million.
Yeah, I think so.
Like that's how a lot of games work. Is that
Yeah, it's to avoid unnecessary numbers. To
Basically-
like keep the screen, yeah.
basically one piece of food in the Anno games? Like any of y'all played any of the Anno games, like Anno 1602 AD, Anno 1503 AD, and whatnot?
Nah, I've only played Sims.
Okay, well, in those games, you have all these different resources that you have to give out to your citizens in order to satisfy them and advance them within society. And above all else, you have to keep them fed. Like, food is the base resource, obviously. And basically, one unit of whatever resource, like food, is actually 1 ton of that said resource. So, 2,000 pounds worth of food, etc.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyways, let's continue.
So kind of like when the Soviet
every
Union
bag.
could only sell stuff by trading it for vodka. Citation Pepsi.
Sure.
God. Solari City. I can build this now. Oh, this thing is enormous. I'm gonna put it over here, I guess. I don't even know. Look at this thing. It's like
Holy
fuck is
Well,
going
I don't
on?
even know what this is. I'm just putting
I
floating
don't know
cities
what it is.
everywhere because honestly, at this point,
Joke's on
I have
everyone,
so
that's a
much
problem.
money that why not? It's weird. It turned from a libertarian anarchy into a libertarian oligarchy without me doing anything. It just happened. We built the entire city up as an anarchy, and God, we made a lot of money doing it. Every time I put a road up, I have to attach a monorail because it gets so congested immediately. I think we did it, and I think we know what type of government is superior. Anarchy for the win, I guess. When you got that much money coming in, it's impossible to hate it. Our credit ratings are AAA. We do whatever we want. Legitimately, we do whatever we want here. Hey, let's hope you enjoyed this episode.
Anyways, that's it for this. Now, why don't we
Yeah,
go-
so it's just kind of funny that like he made a ton of money. All he had to do was have the government get out of the way and stuff and let people do their shit stuff. Because I guess city simulator, city state. I guess the AI understands that unregulated capitalism is the best economic system to run a city and stuff.
Oh.
It is a
Oh.
computer. It doesn't understand your
Oh,
feelings
no.
and stuff.
What? What is
Oh,
it?
we got more info on the Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan. The current president is Abdul Ghani Baradar. Anyways, he's the current president of the Taliban government, the interim Taliban government, because they do plan to replace it. Yeah. Badr was captured in Pakistan by a team of Inter-Service Intelligence (ISI) and Central Intelligence Agency officers. So the CIA was involved in 2018. In February 2010. So that's when he was captured. He was released on October 24, 2018, at the request of the United States government.
Anyways, let's continue.
Yeah.
every Stellaris run in a
Let's be
nutshell.
xenophobic. It's really in this year. Let's find a nasty, slimy, ugly alien to fear. There's no more cutesy stories about E.T. phoning home. Let's learn to love our neighbors like the Christians learned in Rome. We know we ought to hate
Is that
them,
what you're
but
trying to say? Is
different,
that's
you see.
why there's
We've
mostly
seen their mean
humans?
and ugly on movies and TV. The
Well,
folks
why
that
are
ought
the
to
clones
know have
human?
told us how it's got to be. The gospel truth is found in scenes from Alien and V. Let's wipe out any life form that seems to be a threat. We'll serve them up a genocide they never will forget. 'Cause if we miss a couple, they'll breed a couple more. And soon we'll all be hating twice as many as before. You see, aliens can never be as good as humankind. A more delightful race than us you'll never ever find. So step aside, you star slime, we're ready for your worst. We know you want to beat us, enslave us and defeat us, oppress us and browbeat us unless we get you first.
It's funny. Anyways, I think that'll be it for the stream for today. I went a whole lot longer than I thought I would.
Yeah. Hey, you guys.
We needed to waste time this time.
Are you guys ever busy on Wednesday?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
busy on Wednesday. Like throughout Monday through Friday, I'm busy.
Yeah, I am too. Like I have babysitting for for my church to do.
And I'm currently moving apartments. So
Yeah, because like, unfortunately, I normally work Sunday, so this is one of the rare days which I didn't have to work. So I was able to make it this time. Because I feel like, if there's ever another time I'm able to make it, we should definitely because it would be a long ass stream. But we should we could try watching like that whole like Darth Kraya video because that's like one of my favorite Star Wars related YouTube videos ever.
Well, anyways, thank you for joining. Now, for those who are watching still or watching in the future, please give a like, subscribe, and share. Comment down with any comments you have. And of course, if you really like my content, please consider donating to my Patreon or to my Ko-fi. And also, if you own a business or are looking for some kind of insurance, please let me know either on Twitter or Discord. And also, you can support Z Commander. He has his own Patreon now. And he also does commissions for different kinds of tanks, vehicles, stuff like that. Do all this, and we'll see y'all